In 1937, the Japanese attacked China in a full-scale invasion that began a war which lasted for 8 years. Into the midst of this conflict came Norman Bethune, a Canadian doctor from Gravenhurst, Ontario, who was to become for 800 million Chinese the symbol of self-sacrifice and internationalism, the most known and best-loved Canadian hero in history. Revered in China, yet virtually unknown in his own country until recently, he remains an enigma.
When you think of me, you must remember that my father was an evangelist, and I come of a race of men violent, unstable, of passionate convictions and wrong-headedness, intolerant, yet with it all, a vision of truth and a drive to carry them on to it, even though it leads, as it has done in my family, to their destruction.
My guy.
Thank you.
He says it is a big honor to be treated by the great Pa Chuang.
係勸你生意我，當我可殺死多啲日本仔。
He says Pa Chuang will make him well, then he can kill more Japanese.
Tell him that he will fight the Japanese and that we are going to put him to sleep and that he must be brave.
你會再打死啲日本，你要有膽受呢啲痛，佢追你瞓。
No one who returned from the front failed to express admiration for Bethune whenever his name was mentioned. No soldier or civilian was unmoved who had been treated by Dr. Bethune, or unmoved by his spirit. What kind of spirit is this that makes a foreigner adopt the cause of the Chinese people as his own?
Rubbish. Bethune was a monumental egocentric. No matter what the Chinese thought, a lot of people in Canada found him extraordinarily vain, even dangerous. He had a superiority complex and was entirely amoral.
My guy.
Doctor, you cannot do this with your injured hand. The risk of infection is too great. Doctor, your finger will become infected.
Close enough.
He liked to play the aristocrat. Claimed, if you can believe it, to be a direct descendant of the Mary Bethune in the Four Marys. You know, Mary, Queen of Scots, Mary Seddon, Mary Bethune, Mary Carmichael, and so on. Seemed very proud of that. In fact, he enjoyed affecting the lordly role.
Oh! Dear Francis, today I cut my finger. A tiny, insignificant wound in an unending parade of torn flesh and spilled blood. There's a danger of septicemia, but we shall see. Whatever shall be, will be. Oh, Francis, you're so much a part of what I am here. Strange that China, at last, should teach me what love is. Oh, look. Come on, Francis. Jump.
I certainly will not, Ben.
Come on.
Look how deep that is. It goes halfway through here. Oh,
Canada's done it. The honor of Scotland is at stake.
Scotland is about to sit her honor down and rest upon it.
Bethune, you've forgotten your marriage vows with her. I go us now. Come on.
Beth, it was a civil ceremony anyway. That's not in the church vows anyhow.
It's in the Canadian church vows. Come on, jump.
Give us a kiss. When are we going to Canada?
After you jump.
Aren't you eager to see your family?
No.
It's been years.
Miss Darling, Francis, come on.
You never talk about your family.
I talk about them all the time.
Oh, yes, you talk about your illustrious ancestry dating from William the Conqueror and Mary Bethune and Mary Seddon and all that. But you never talk about your parents.
Looked upon me as a God-sent opportunity to practice the rigors of their beliefs. To teach me humility. My father once pushed my face into the dirt and made me eat it. And then he came to my room weeping and begged forgiveness, and I could not forgive him.
Quite right. I wouldn't forgive anyone who pushed my face in the dirt and made me eat.
I could have forgiven him that. But I couldn't forgive him. Was coming to my room weeping and begging forgiveness. I can't accept weakness of any kind. Now, come on, Francis. Jump. Come on. Come on.
Beth, I can't.
Come on, Francis. Jump.
Oh, Beth, please don't make me. I can't.
Jump, Francis.
I can't. Please don't make me.
Francis, I would rather see you dead than for you not to jump over here. There, you see? Nothing to it. Nothing to it.
We could have easily gone back the way we came. You were testing me in some way.
I was not testing you, Francis. I was proving to you that you were capable of anything you set your mind to.
Reminded me of a legend that I heard in school. There was a lady who wanted to test the valor of her knight, and she threw a rose into a den of lions. She asked the knight to fetch it for her, and he did.
They lived happily ever after.
No. He gave her the rose, and then he rode away, alone.
Till he twit.
Darling, do you mind if I eat whilst you smoke?
Not at all, Francis. So long as I can still hear the band.
Dear Beth, so many things went wrong with us so quickly. Just as I left the ravine for you, I crossed the Atlantic. Not to Canada, but to Detroit. You were excited by all that primitive energy and noise and, as you thought, promise. Neither your new position at the Detroit College of Medicine nor the storefront practice you began brought in any money. We lived on my legacy. But of course to you, dear Beth, such difficulties were merely the opportunity for a dance.
Who in the world is that?
That's Dr. Bethune on his way to a lecture, I suppose.
The doctor, I take it, is some sort of honorary title?
Oh, no, he's unorthodox, but he's a damn fine teacher and a good doctor. He told me he'd not only like to practice medicine, but teach it, so I hired him.
Oh, you hired him?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Well, I thought the distinguished Detroit College of Medicine and Surgery could use a breath of fresh air.
Gentlemen, I apologize. I'm 10 minutes late, but there was a matter of some urgency which required my complete attention. Apropos of which, I might point out that of all the reliefs known to science and nature, there is none that approaches the relief of defecation. Which brings us to the subject at hand, how to write a proper prescription. The subject is a complete bore, but you must learn it, and I must teach it to you. I had a patient come into my office once, complaining of severe stomach cramps. And I examined him, and I said to him, while I was examining him, I asked him, I said, what do you think? What do you think is wrong with you? And he said there wasn't a question about it. He knew exactly what was wrong with him. He had a frog in his stomach. So I said I had encountered that before, and if he would come back the next day, then I would try and cure him. The next morning he came back saying the stomach cramps were worse. I gave him what I call my special enema, sat him on a bedpan, slipped a frog in with the result, showed it to him, and he went away a cured man. The moral of this little story is, his body needed the enema, and his mind needed the frog. And that's the art of medicine. That's what it's all about. And that brings us to the art of prescription writing. You define the physical problem, you select the best means modern chemistry has at hand to treat it, and then you write it all down on a little piece of paper called a prescription paper. You give that to the patient, and he takes it to the druggist to get his magic potion. Well, he's going to read it on the way to the druggist, and that is going to destroy the magic potion. It's going to destroy the secret, it's going to destroy the mystery, it's going to destroy a good percentage of the effect of the cure. And here comes what we call the frog, which is the art of prescription writing. You write it in Latin. By writing it in Latin, your patient is filled with awe. But more than that, you write it in illegible Latin. By writing it in illegible Latin, now that act is so incomprehensible to him that he has no other choice but to submit and trust and therefore be cured. I would make one little note. You should print your phone number. The druggist might need to call you. He needs as much help as he can get. Okay, down to the basic facts of it. You come to the board, write for me, illegibly, in Latin, bicarbonate of soda. And if I can read it, it's no good.
Why'd you win?
General Nier. I have changed so much, Francis. I think now, probably, I am finally the man that you always wanted me to be. The Chinese tell a story about me, which we all love. They tell it and we laugh, and then we embrace, and then they tell it again. A year ago, when I arrived here in the South, they couldn't pronounce my name, so they gave me 3 Chinese characters, Pe-Chu-En. Petulant, which was my name, and which meant, when translated literally, white one, seeking grace, which coincidentally was who I was. But now here in the north, the dialect has changed, and those same characters mean white one, sent, which coincidentally they say is who I am.
Canada? No. I miss roast beef. Roast beef and apple pie.
Especially when eating our thin rice porridge, right?
Yes. No. This is my home now.
Yes, but people tend to fall back into old habits, familiar patterns of behavior.
No, I am happy here. I mean, look at my riches. I'm doing important work. Occupies all my time from 5:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. And not only that, to satisfy my bourgeois vanity, I have every wish fulfilled. Everything I need. I have a cook. I have a house. I have a wonderful Japanese horse. Thank you very much. I'm treated like a kingly comrade. And I have the inestimable good fortune to be able to work with comrades who are quiet, resolute, determined, unselfish, unflagging in their optimism, gentle, cruel, bitter, sweet, implacable in their hatred, and world-embracing in their love. And I love them. I love them. And they love me.
El Nino está bien.
¿Puedes traer el follo?
El Nino está bien. Oh, no, gracias. Es tropo, muchos.
Oh.
Sí. Tres veces.
Oh, muchas gracias, doctor.
Sí,
Okay. Vamos.
What is this awful, nasty stuff?
Yes, I'm awfully sorry. But they now require money for the good stuff. Perhaps you hadn't heard.
Can you imagine this in the same room with that? I just hope the fumes from this don't peel the paint off that.
Not very funny.
That wasn't really meant to be, Francis.
Oh, I love it here. I loathe Detroit. I loathe America. It's dirty. It's awful. People are brutal and vulgar. Oh, Beth, why can't we go back to England or at least Canada?
And do what?
Live decently, that's what.
Compared to most of the people that I treat, Francis, we live in the lap of luxury.
It isn't the luxury that bothers me. It's the bloody necessities. Beth, we can't pay the rent, but we own enough paintings to make a bloody gallery envious. And books and brandy and God knows what. And all this is supposed to be provided for by people who pay us with plucked chickens?
Well, what would you like me to do, Francis? Hang up a brass plate on Park Lane and Harley Street, or just treat patients with tails or evening...
Don't you dare try and make me out of some rich callous bitch. I dare say I have as much sympathy for those poor people as you do. I know you want to help them. I know you're a good doctor. You are so many strong, overpowering things that I'm not. I sometimes feel like I'm being erased, as though I were a line on a wall that you wanted to wipe clean so that you could put something else there, something made by you and you alone.
Oh, Francis. I didn't know it had gone that far.
Yes, but it has, Beth. Beth, we made an awful mistake. There's something in you that frightens and appalls me, something that makes you want to absorb things into yourself until they become just another aspect of you, and I know you're powerless to change that.
We're back at the bloody ravine.
The awful thing is that I love you so very much, and I'm powerless to change that. Bloody awful thing to happen to two people.
You know what Samuel Butler said? Man is born with two illusions, one of necessity and the other of happiness.
I don't understand that.
Then you either do or you don't.
Look, Beth, I'm going to go away. My brother's in California. I'll go visit him.
California is one of these United States which you loathe, or hadn't you? I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, it's a good idea to go away. It's. I want you to know that I love you, that I worship you, that I adore you. I'll miss you terribly. I almost look forward to missing you. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't miss missing you for the world, so stay away for as long as you like. Only come back to me. Please.
Well, I'm really rather surprised you haven't noticed the symptoms yourself long before now. Of course, it's a mild case. Pulmonary tuberculosis of moderate extent. Your general condition is good, all in all. I'd say with sanatorium treatment and a rest, a complete recovery is certainly possible.
Oh, God.
Not the end of the world. Don't be upset.
I'm not upset. I'm honored.
Pardon me?
I said I'm honored. Honored to be afflicted by a disease with such an illustrious history. I mean, it's a true artist disease, isn't it? Keats had it. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Robert Louis Stevenson, Goethe, Chopin, Modigliani, me. All proves an inextricable link between tuberculosis and genius.
Are you suggesting that genius is only scrofulous?
Ha, ha, ha.
Well, it's not that bad, really. No, I mean, it's serious. TB is always serious. A man of your capabilities, it's tragedy, really. But
Dr. McGregor. In the light of the Great War, this can hardly be considered a tragedy.
Yes. Well, I suggest you go to Trudeau Sanatorium. It's near Saranac Lake. They'll take good care of you there. Have your own quarters, you and Mrs. Bethune. She has returned from a visit?
No, I shall be alone at Trudeau.
Tuberculosis can never be quite cured, you know. Only arrested. The treatment, I'm afraid, is surprisingly simple. You simply lie in bed in one of these attractive cottages that we have here and breathe in our wonderful air. That's really all I have to say.
John Bellamy.
I'm sure you are, dear boy.
Interesting theory of treatment, isn't it? Do absolutely nothing until you're bored to the point of madness, at which time you're considered to have learned to live with your disease. This may be the top TB clinic and all, but I have never really believed that enforced inactivity ever did anyone much good. I'm a physician myself, you see. And I happen to know that you're one, too. I've heard about you from my friends at Detroit College. You've got yourself quite a reputation as a lecturer and a man to watch in our noble profession. Your name's Norman Bethune.
What's yours?
John Bellamy. Same as before.
John, on my way into this establishment, I noticed another establishment down the road. A seedy den of strong drink called Brooks Tavern.
I'm familiar with the place. However, I should point out they're pretty rigid about the regimen here. 10 o'clock curfew, enforced by muscular nurses with truncheons.
But in that case, we shouldn't make our move until 10:05.
I myself always wait until 10:10 to be on the safe side. And I usually bring back a couple of bottles for the nurses.
John, I think we're going to have a marvelous time adjusting to our disease together.
I mean, it is absolutely true. The greatest achievements of mankind are a direct result of boredom. Look at the pyramids, for example. Can you imagine how bored some pharaoh must have been to have invented them?
Monumentally bored, you might say.
Or the Great Wall of China, what a triumph of boredom that is.
Chinese don't get bored, do they?
They get inscrutably bored, which is an appropriately boring prelude for the announcement that I would like to make.
Silence, please, for Bethune's latest great announcement.
I think that we should create Trudeau Clinic University. I'm absolutely serious about it. We're all going to be here for 6 months or a year or longer. We all have separate professions or occupations that we are unable to practice. Well, I mean, there are doctors like John and me. There's an engineer like Mills, or writers like Philliby. I mean, well, we could each teach a course in our own field and take a course in the field of everybody else. Each of us would teach a course in his own field and take courses in the fields of everyone else. Now, to augment the faculty, we could affiliate with local universities, possibly even gain accreditation. I don't know. The future is incredible for it. Now, with respect to the problem of the movement of student patients, since exercise is taboo, I have designed a series of moving walkways and escalators which cover every building in the sanatorium. We can use all the cottages.
What would be the cost of this university of yours?
The cost? I have no idea. I have not figured that out, but we can raise the money for that somewhere.
I'm not so damn sure that we'd be able to raise the money at any...
I'm giving you the best idea that you've had in this sanatorium for 20 years in terms of therapy, and you ask me how much it costs. Why don't you just go to the old boys and ask them to pay for it?
Study, eh? And, well, since he's so obviously brimming with energy, and we all know what a wonderful teacher he is, perhaps he could take over one of the teacher's training courses.
Like what?
Nurses' basic anatomy?
Today's lecture is on human reproduction. Human reproduction is facilitated by the human sexual organs. There are the male sexual organs and the female sexual organs. I'm sure that all of you are familiar with what the female sexual organ looks like. The male sexual organ looks like this. Any questions?
I miss you so terribly. There's nothing to do but lie here and miss you. If only you'd come back. It isn't fair. Divorce proceedings have started. I feel as if we've never talked it out, had the chance to decide anything. That suddenly you were simply gone. I know you don't want me to love you, but I do. I I love you more now than I ever have. And I want to see you. I think I can talk with you now and understand you, and you me. It isn't fair that this should happen. John?
Hmm?
Did I ever tell you my plan for a perfect suicide?
Not recently.
A perfect suicide would be morphine and drowning.
Good God.
I haven't got all the kinks worked out yet. I mean, you'd have to find a warm body of water that's clear and work the weights out so that when they were attached to your feet, your descent would be smooth and the vision would be beautiful and you'd have time to take it all in. And the morphine, you'd have to obviously practice on yourself with the doses so you'd know how much you could take so that in that moment you would be able to perfectly balance the euphoria of the morphine with the descent. Think of the joy of it. Think of the relief. Think of the peace. Think of the happiness. Think of the, just for once in your life, that destiny that controlled and guided and pushed you and maligned you. It'll be in your hands. You'll be able to control it. Be able to greet death in your own time, peacefully, happily, joyfully. You'll be doing what you were supposed to do. And you'd know it. For the first time in your life, you'd know it. You'd have your own destiny in your own hands.
I like it. I think we should give it a try.
You want to go first?
Well, not tonight. I got to finish my letter.
I will.
They told me I'd find you in bed. I should have known better.
Well, I had an irresistible urge to commit allegory.
So
I call
see.
it TB's progress. That's young Norman over there, and that's the tubercle bat.
What's that?
That's a ship of heart's desires, and that's, no, well, that's Detroit. And this is the angel of death, and that's young Norman. Sputum cup still in hand.
What's this?
1932. I don't think it's too optimistic. I think I've got 4 years left. Oh, but you've been here 5 minutes and I haven't congratulated you yet.
On what?
On your divorce settlement. Congratulations, Francie.
Don't.
Well, I mean, I was so cheered by the optimism shown by the judges. I mean, what am I to pay you? $1,500 cash. Plus $25,000 at $100 a month. I'm going to be a wealthy woman, Francis. Will you marry me?
Oh, Beth, you're impossible.
I'm serious, Francis. I love you.
Oh, Beth, that's not fair.
Oh, it is fair, Francis.
Oh, Beth, come on. We've only been divorced. Think of the waste.
Wait. Schmace, look at me. I'm 38 years old. Look at my life. A year ago, I was 21. I thought I had the whole life ahead of me.
Francis, I've only got about 4 years left, but I don't have a lot of time, but I want to do the best with it I can, and I want you with me.
I can't. Darling, I can't.
Oh, Francis, look, I'm not going to push you.
No, darling, you don't understand what I'm saying. Beth, I'm going to marry somebody else.
No.
Yes.
Oh, well, can I come to the party?
Sure you can, darling.
It is very simple, Dr. Waring. I have decided I want to live. I want to live as fully as I can for as long as I can.
But Dr. Bethune, this kind of procedure is very risky. It's too early in your condition, and besides, there's a very mixed body of opinion on the pneumothorax method.
I've read it. I've done nothing else for the past month but read very mixed opinions on all forms of therapy. The pneumothorax method makes sense. Did you know the founder of this clinic himself, Dr. Trudeau, had pneumothorax?
Give me some credit, Doctor. After all, Dr. Trudeau was a colleague of mine.
Well, he claimed it prolonged his life.
Yes, after some considerable bed rest. You're an impatient man, Dr. Bethune, and impulsive. But I cannot, in all honesty, advise a pneumothorax. Done prematurely, there's a great danger of the infection spreading to the other lung. The risk is simply too great.
Don't you understand? The risk means nothing to me. Don't you understand? I welcome it. I prefer it. Compared with what my prospects are now, I demand it. And if you won't do it for me, by God, I'll do it myself. The object of the procedure known as artificial pneumothorax is to collapse the tubercular lung and allow it to rest. To do this, a hollow needle is inserted between the ribs. Air is then pumped through this needle into the chest cavity, but outside the lung. When the diseased lung ceases to function, the spread of the tuberculosis can be arrested.
Absolutely outrageous. How dare he do it himself?
Fluoroscopy shows 65% collapse of the lung. It seems to have been quite successful.
And then afterwards he defies all rules and regulations and walks back to his cottage.
Yes, uphill.
Oh, for God's sake.
All in all, quite remarkable.
Remarkable? The man's a maniac. I was not joking, Dr. Waring. In my opinion, Dr. Bethune is not a sane man.
I left Trudeau relatively cured. I even had a job, thanks to John, in Montreal at the Royal Victoria Hospital. And I was resolved, dear Francis, not to miss your second wedding.
To Francis and Beth,
If at first you don't succeed...
Yeah, then by rights it should be somebody else's turn.
All things come to he who waits.
My boy, I've waited with the patience of Job, and look what happens to me. I'm a guest at my fiancée's wedding.
He who hesitates is lost.
Now, he also serves who only stands and waits.
A bird in the hand is worth two in the book.
Seriously, Francis, if this guy abuses you anymore, I'm very much available.
That's got to be a new first. Proposing before the minister's even done.
Oh, good heavens. I'm forgetting my duties as best man.
Where are we going to spend our wedding night? Why don't the four of us go downtown? Let's the four of us all go down.
Oh, no, Beth, we can't on your wedding night.
Ari is going to come, John. You've got to come too. How many times do you get invited on a honeymoon?
Why not?
Beth, what the hell is this place?
This place is a temple of art and intellect.
Are the priests and the birds?
Yes, correct.
Does this temple serve drinks?
Yes, it does. Sit down. Can I get a bottle of wine? Okay. Temple of art. Are the finest things in human life. I'm serious, John. We doctors, we treat the least interesting part of the human existence. The body. What is it but a machine that rots? Like a banana. But the artist, he treats that part that never dies. Soul.
What are you on about, Beth? You sound like some middle-aged Oscar Wilde.
Do you know Oscar Wilde's dying words? He was in a seedy little hotel in Cherbourg, and he looked at the wallpaper, and he said, either this wallpaper has to go, or I do. The most valuable, the most interesting part of a human being does not appear on any anatomy chart. It is his intuition, his deepest, most natural feelings before they rise up into that circumscribed and land-blocked area that we call rationality. Intuition. It is intuition that proves mankind's right to exist.
Rot. What rot?
What did you say?
I said, what rot?
I consider that a provocative and belligerent remark.
It is rot to think that there is anything in this life which is beyond the material. And the administering to the sustenance and maintenance of said material is a high and noble calling. A failure to recognize that basic fact of existence marks one as a rather primitive romantic.
That is rot. That is rot.
To sum up, the curing of one lowly, louse-ridden patient is worth all the paintings and literature ever done. There I rest.
That is an incredibly ignorant remark.
Oh, is that so? Mm-hmm. If you were sick, would you rather have someone cure you or paint your portrait, eh?
John, I'm afraid I'm going to have to beat some intuitive sense into your material thought. What's your good stuff? What's your good stuff?
You're not.
Oh, my God.
My friend and I didn't see you. Are you all right?
No harm. No harm.
Look, we'll buy them all, okay? We're sorry.
No harm. It's for remembrance, see? I was in Flanders. No harm.
Here, let me help you out.
No! For remembrance. Thank you. Thank you, sir. No harm. Thank you. Thank you. No harm.
should ask her about body and soul, Beth. He's lost both or scattered halfway around the globe. I wonder if these bits of paper help him remember what he lost them for.
Michelle?
When did John turn into such a bullshit?
Oh, I don't know. It's all a fashion these days. Not anybody unless you're spouting marks all over the place.
I don't think I like John anymore.
What about Mr. Coleman? Do you like him?
Ari, he's very witty.
That all?
What does that mean?
Was he witty in bed?
I really wouldn't know, darling.
Don't tell me you slept through the whole thing.
Why are you getting at me like this? It's so boring.
Just curious, that's all. Jealous.
Anyway, what if I did sleep with him? It certainly wasn't after you and I got together. And you had your share of ladies, my lad.
Give me an example of Ari's wit.
What?
Tell me something witty Ari might have uttered on some given occasion.
Right, I will. Let me think. Oh, I know. We were talking about America, and Ari said that America was the only country in the world to have passed from barbarism to decadence without passing through civilization.
Ha! Shaw.
What?
George Bernard Shaw or Oscar Wilde, I don't know. It's a very well-known remark.
All right, so it's a well-known remark. So it's George Bernard Shaw. I didn't claim that he made it up. I just thought it was a very witty remark.
But he claims to be witty. It isn't very witty passing someone else's remark off.
He does not claim to be witty. I claim that he's witty.
Oh, you claim he's witty.
Yes.
Oh, if one wants to know about wit, one sends instantly for a Scot.
Oh.
Well-known authorities on humour, the Scots. The whole thing makes me sick.
What whole thing?
Oh, the whole idea of you in bed with R.E. Francis, it makes me sick. It makes me sick.
Rather old-fashioned of you, isn't it, darling?
Yes, it is old-fashioned. And I am old-fashioned. I'd like life to mean something. And that's a very old-fashioned, very dangerous way to be.
They all look so bloody grim.
Grimness and dedication.
A monument. Hatchet-faced bitch over there must be a monument to dedication.
Excuse me. Mr. Bellamy, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm Louis Kahn. We had a conversation. Perhaps you don't remember.
Yes, of course, I do remember. That's Dr. Bethune. He might also be interested in what you have to say. However, I should warn you that he bores easily and he hides it badly.
A meeting such as this would bore a stone to death, I'm afraid. But the party is new here, somewhat unsophisticated.
Comrade Khan is interested in medical matters as they apply to socialism.
Huh? Yes. It was after I toured the Soviet Union and saw the miraculous strides they had taken in solving the problem of treating the whole population. There, they have evolved a system which is both humane and democratic.
Well, undoubtedly, Stalin's policies of killing off half the population must have helped matters somewhat.
Have you studied the Soviet system of socialized medicine?
I've read about it.
In the Canadian and American press, no doubt. There's only one proper way to find out what the Soviets are doing, and that is to go and see for oneself.
Maybe I will.
Russia is a complete and total mess.
I was reminded of Isadora Duncan, who in the story of her life was talking about her confinement. And she said, there I lay, a fountain, spouting blood, milk, and tears. And I wonder what someone would think if he saw a woman in labor for the first time and didn't know what was happening to her. Wouldn't he be appalled at the agony and the blood, the apparent cruelty of the attendants, at the whole disgusting technique of labor, birth, delivery? Would he not cry out, help, stop this, police, murder? Now tell him that what he was witnessing was a new life being brought into this world. That the pain would pass, that the agony and the ugliness were necessary to birth. What would he say truthfully then about that woman as she lay there? Is she not ugly? Yes. Is she not beautiful? Yes. Is she not grotesque, ludicrous, absurd, pitiful? Yes. And all of those things would be true. Now Russia is going through her rebirth. And the obstetricians and the midwives have been so busy keeping the precious baby alive that they haven't had time to clean up the mess. And it is this mess, this ugly, uncomfortable, sometimes stupid mess, that affronts the eyes and elevates the noses of those timid male and female virgins who suffer from frigid sterility of the soul, who cannot see behind the blood the significance of the birth. Creation is not and never has been a genteel gesture. It is rude, violent, and revolutionary. But to those courageous hearts who believe in the unlimited future of man, who believe in his divine destiny which he holds in his own hands to do with what he will, Russia presents today the most exciting spectacle of the revolutionary, emergent, heroic spirit of man that has appeared on this earth since the Renaissance. Socialized medicine and the abolition or the restriction of private practice would appear to be our only solution. Let us take the profit, the economic profit, out of medicine. Let us make it disgraceful for us to enrich ourselves at the expense of the miseries of our fellow man. Let us redefine medical ethics, not as a code of professional ethics between doctors, but as a code of fundamental morality and justice between medicine and the people.
A lot of your patients appear to have a rocky time recovering after surgery. It's not a problem of infection, but of poor general condition on their return from the operating room.
And shock.
The fact is, gentlemen, that in spite of our best care, we are losing patients operated on by Dr. Bethune at a very unusual rate.
I'm perfectly aware that the mortality rate of my patients is higher than that of my colleagues.
The most frequent criticisms I've heard of you, Doctor, is that you simply go too fast.
Well, I'm not trying to set any speed records, Director. The primary cause of post-op death is a direct result from too long a time spent under anesthetic. I'm trying to avoid that.
That doesn't account for your low recovery rate, Doctor. You'll pardon my saying so, but Dr. Archibald's method of operating slowly and deliberately hasn't resulted in any great incidence of post-op mortality.
Well, with all due respect to Dr. Archibald, I think the answer may lie in the patients we choose to operate on.
Will you explain that, please?
It's been the policy for some time, not only in this hospital, but in most of the hospitals throughout Canada, to keep recovery statistics up by avoiding bad risk operations. Terminally ill patients, patients who are going to die as a result of tuberculosis, who could possibly be cured by surgery, who could quite probably die as a result of it, are systematically excluded from surgical treatment by doctors who wish to keep recovery statistics high.
You can't prove that.
I can prove that. I can prove a lot of other things. That there's a rich man's tuberculosis and a poor man, that the rich man recovers and the poor man dies because he cannot afford to live. That much TB could be prevented if you just recognize that the tubercle bacillus is only one of the factors involved in tuberculosis, that the primary factors are economic and social.
Now, if the medical profession was willing to take an active part in alleviating those social and economic factors, then we could...
We're wandering from the subject.
Not if the subject is how medicine can better serve the public.
The subject, Dr. Bethune, is whether you are to continue in employment at this hospital. That is the subject, sir. That and nothing else.
I thought I'd observe today, Dr. Bethune, if you don't mind.
Not at all, Dr. Archibald. Now, let's show Dr. Archibald how fast we are, shall we? 16 minutes from skin to skin. Cheers.
Excuse me, Dr. Bethune, that instrument, I'm not familiar with it.
There. Rib shears. I was at the shoemaker the other day, and I saw him cutting a particularly tough piece of leather, and naturally I thought of a patient's rib cage, and I took them, adapted them myself. Let's go.
Blood pressure's down. There's too much blood. He's bled far too much.
Scalpel.
Dr. Bethune, he's going to bleed to death.
Sponge.
Doctor?
Sponge. Clamp.
Pulse is weak.
Let the refractions go. Let the refractions go.
Blood pressure down. We're losing him. I have no pulse. No pulse.
Okay, we're closing now. Scissors.
He's breathing. Getting stronger. I have a pulse now. He's breathing. Getting stronger. Good pulse now.
Give him the blood. Time.
16 minutes, sir.
What are you going to do?
I don't know.
It was very decent of Archibald to give you a recommendation after the way you treated him.
Very decent man. The medical profession is full of decent
Now,
men.
come on, Beth. He treated you very fairly. He put up with you far longer than anybody else would have
I
done.
said he was decent, Francis. You've all been very decent. You've all been very fair putting up with me. It's my fault. I'm just unable to find all this overwhelming decency decent. I don't find it decent when society's physicians minister to society's sick for personal profit without any respect to society's welfare. I don't find it decent. I don't find it fair. And I cannot put up with it.
Oh, Beth, it's all happening all over again. Same way. Two such perverse, misfitted people. How the hell did we find each other?
Whatever shall be, will be. Come here.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it isn't us that's wrong. Maybe it's marriage, you know? Dinner, breakfast, bed, all that. It's just not for us. No cleaning house, no debts. Last time I filed for divorce, you want to take a turn?
Well, the last time we got married in Canada. The only grounds for divorce is adultery.
It's easy enough to arrange.
Smile, Francis. Say adultery.
Adultery.
Be glad to know that we finally legitimized our adulterous relationship.
Beth, why don't you propose a toast?
To you two.
Oh. That's not a very eloquent toast, Beth.
Forgive me for everything. I hope you'll both be very happy. Mind you, Coleman, I don't give my wife away. I just lend her.
We'll see.
General, how close are the Japanese?
Not far. A mile, perhaps, maybe less. But I think they will not attack until nighttime.
Perhaps it is wrong not to tell him.
No, do not tell him. He must sleep. And it is your duty to see that he does.
General.
Yes.
Will you stop the Japanese?
How serious is the cut on his finger?
If it is infected, he will die.
Dear Francis, these 6 months in Spain have made me realize that it is only here at the front that life is real. Life and death are parts of the same picture, and if you ignore death, the picture is unreal. In Spain, there is a beautiful feeling of detachment at the front line. Every minute is beautiful because it may be your last, and it must be enjoyed to the full.
Hey, John.
Casa.
Bring the blood in. Put the fridge over there somewhere, will you?
Francis, it is here in Spain that the real issues of our time will be fought out. It is here that democracy will either die or survive.
Hi, John. Hey, get some wine, will you?
It appears because I have revolutionized Army medicine. My Canadian Mobile Blood Transfusion Unit is the first in history, thanks to a method of preserving blood that I've invented. The problem has always been getting the wounded back to the doctors before they bled to death. Now the doctors and the blood go to the wounded at the front. I'm well and I am happy and I love you. Esta muerte.
No, put the stuff on the chair. That
Save Spain from the fascists. For the Bolsheviks. Rescue a drowning man and then steal his wallet.
Beth has given me power of attorney while he's in Spain.
He can't quite let you go, can he?
I left Beth more often than he did me.
Well, it's a good thing for both of you. You never had any children.
Oh, but we did. We had a child. Alice. A doll child. And like all good children of divorces, she spent 6 months with me and 6 months with Beth.
Comrade Bethune! Up here.
We are from Provisional Medical Headquarters of the sector.
Comrade Bethune, in order to promote greater efficiency, your Canadian units will be integrated into the Provisional Mobile Blood Unit of Barcelona.
Barcelona? What the bloody hell are you talking about? What are you
talking? Orders from headquarters, comrade. Not to be questioned.
Which headquarters? You guys have got a dozen bloody headquarters for a dozen bloody factions.
There are no factions here, only anti-fascists.
Hell, you say. I saw you shooting at each other in Madrid. Communists shooting at syndicalists, shooting at moderates, shooting at anarchists, shooting at everybody but fascists. If you were just as anti-fascist as you are anti-each other, you'd lick those bastards in no time.
Take it easy.
Next time somebody called him on him, by God, I'm going to do it. Now listen to me, Colonel, General, Commandant, whoever the Christ you are. We set up this unit, and you're not integrating it with any unit. You understand? We made it work, and by God, we're going to keep on making it work, and not you, nor Franco, nor nobody is going to stop us. Oh, good move. Go for the gun. Smart. Get out of here. Get out of here!
And that's not very smart.
It's a bloody war we're fighting here. I need that kind of politics like I need a hole in the head.
Political war, remember?
That politics is not political, John, and the sooner you get that through your head, the sooner you'll get to know something.
Discipline, Comrade Bethune. Discipline. In this war, nationalities mean nothing. They are simply bourgeois concerns which you should have put behind you by now.
It's a question of solidarity, comrade, and where your unit will be of most service.
I'm perfectly willing to accept discipline. I mean, the only concern is the efficiency of my unit. You know as well as I do that the Republican cause is being torn apart by those factions.
It's not your place to decide. That is the issue here. Granted, there are problems with the anarchists and other factions. That is not the point. The point is that the party orders you to submit.
You've been in action a long time, comrade. You've seen a lot. And the party wants you to come home now. Come home and tell the people what you've seen. Raise funds so that this work may continue.
You are asking me to leave the center of gravity of the world. You are asking me to leave the center of my life.
You will come back to Spain, perhaps? Perhaps not. There are other missions. Each of us has our task. It is not for us to determine what it will be. The cause will determine.
Whatever shall be, will be.
Exactly. Come, Comrade Norman. Let's go home.
We drove south along the coast to Malaga, because that was where the front was. That was where we were needed. Malaga was being attacked by mechanized Italian and nationalist units. We were no more than 10 miles outside of Almeria when we saw the first of the refugees from Malaga. Further south we went, the more pitiful the sights became. Children. We counted 5,000 children under the age of 10, 1,000 without shoes, most of them clad only in a single garment. They were slung over their mother's shoulders or clinging to her hands. Fathers staggering under 1, 2 infants on their back, carrying pots and pans, some treasured possession. We were besieged by a mob of these frantic parents who, with outstretched arms, held out to us their children. Children with eyes and faces swollen and congested with 4 days of sand and sun. Children with bloody rags wrapped around their arms and legs. Children without shoes, whose feet were swollen to twice their size. Children crying helplessly from pain and hunger and fatigue. These parents were trying to get these children to Almeria, to safety, and they were asking us to help them. So we did. We began to ferry them back to Almeria. At first we decided to take only mothers and children, but then the separation between fathers and children, husbands and wives, became too cruel to bear. So we decided to take the families with the largest numbers of small children and those solitary children without parents, of which there were hundreds. We worked in shifts for 3 days and 3 nights. And when we were finished, Almeria was swollen to twice its size. 40,000 exhausted people in their haven of safety, sleeping in the main street in the center of town, huddled together so closely you could hardly move. That night, those 40,000 people were bombed by German and Italian fascist warplanes. Those warplanes did not choose to bomb the battleship in the harbor. They did not choose to bomb the army barracks on the outskirts of Almeria. They chose to bomb those 40,000 people in the open center of that helpless town. They bombed the streets into a shambles of dead and dying. I picked up 3 dead children in front of the headquarters of the Provincial Committee for the Evacuation of Refugees, where they had been standing in a great queue, waiting for the first food that they would have had for 4 days. A cup of preserved milk and a piece of dried bread. As darkness fell, the moans of those wounded children, the shrieks of the agonized mothers, and the curses of the men rose in a massed cry, higher and higher, to a pitch of intolerable intensity. Who is going to answer that cry? Who is going to stop that fascist beast that has been unleashed upon this world? Who? If it is not you, who? If it is not you, it will be no one. And if it is no one, then that cry from Almeria will be your cry. And when it is your cry, who will answer you?
To Beth. You haven't said a word to him all evening.
I tried. I think St. Norman's beginning to find me a bit decadent. And I don't think this party was such a good idea after all.
You bored? Do I have to go? You dance with me first?
Isn't it? There can be Benny Goodman and perfumed hair in one place.
Yes, well, that's the way of the world, isn't it? It's hard to feel upset about things happening halfway across the world, no matter how terrible they are. You going back?
Spain?
Well, I'm delighted. It's your turn for Alice. You've been very neglectful.
I can't look at children now. I see bloody and maimed and torn bodies.
So what are you going to do? Stay in Montreal, start your practice again?
No, I've finished. Sorry looking at you.
Mm-hmm. Shall we walk?
China.
China? Why?
I'll write you a letter. Tell you why. Take care of yourself.
And you? Friend is off to China.
China? New worlds to conquer. Our hero's outgrown Spain.
No, I don't think he's going to China to be a hero.
North China. Near Linshu with the 8th Route Army. All around me, men with wounds. Wounds like little dried pools caked with black-brown earth. Decaying orchids or crushed carnations. Terrible flowers of flesh. Wounds from which the dark blood is spewed out in clots. Man-made wounds. The senseless wounds of war. How beautiful the body is, how perfect its parts, with what precision it moves. How terrible when torn. The little flame of life sinks lower and lower, and with a flicker, goes out. It goes out like a candle goes out. Quietly. Gently.
Wake up. Did you hear me? We've captured some Japanese sappers. 2 are still alive but badly hurt. It is possible that they can help us. Tell us something. Now, can you do something?
Bring them in.
All right. 这里，这边，来，把他带来。
Your finger, is it infected?
No. Yes. But it's not serious.
Right, you went. Whatever you were before is of no consequence. You have done more for the sick and wounded than any other man I know. You have made yourself one of us.
And the future belongs to us.
Are these soldiers professional man killers? No. These are amateurs in arms with workmen's hands. What can they gain from this war? Nothing. But someone will gain. That is the secret of all wars. Gain, profit, money, blood money. These poor men are sent to destroy each other for the profit of their masters. Those gentlemen are the true enemies of the human race. Those are the men who make the war.
What's going on? What's going on? Hey, leave them out there! Leave them out there!
They'll be coming in less than 30 minutes.
But they'll be here in 30 minutes. We've got 30 minutes. Leave that man there. Ho! Ho! Take my watch. The big hand is there, yell 20. When the big hand is there, yell 10. And when the big hand is there, yell 5. Understand?
Okie dokie.
Okay. Pick that man up. Take this blood over there. Tell this man we have no more anesthetic. Tell him to bite down on this. Hold his hand. Close him up. Put him down there. Down there.
Western Union, November 26, 1939. Unfortunate injury while operating and resultant blood poisoning caused the death of Dr. Norman Bethune in Wu Taishan. 8th Route Army mourns medical hero and conveys deepest condolences to family and friends. Commander-in-Chief, 8th Route Army, North China.
Stay tuned for 2 hilarious British comedies, KYTV followed by Hale and Pace, 2 programs that are guaranteed to have you on the floor laughing. And later tonight, join Chaz Lawther for a fabulous film on the Showcase Review. Great programs from around the world, every night, only on Showcase.